We're going to be reacting to another mock draft today, and this one's from ESPN. This was released yesterday, and we're going to go pick by pick and analyze these picks for fantasy football, Dynasty Fantasy Football for the long term, so we can get an idea of what these players will look like in certain landing spots. We like to do this every week or so with a mock draft, especially the big ones here. But if you're here for all the picks, I'm going to show them to you. So stay tuned. But before we do, you need to click that subscribe button because we're looking at the NFL draft every single day this offseason up until and after the NFL draft, so you can get a good idea of what these players are going to look like with their new NFL teams and also for fantasy football and Dynasty Fantasy Football going forward. But let's dig in. Let's look at this NFL mock draft by ESPN here, and this one's written up by Matt Miller, the NFL draft scout from Twitter. Let's analyze this one. Let's get real with this mock draft here, and we're going to the first pick. The first pick off the board for the Bears, Caleb Williams, and they're just keeping things, I wouldn't say correct, but standard to a lot of mock drafts. We're seeing Caleb Williams go as the 101 to the Bears and a lot of mock drafts. For Dynasty Fantasy Football and Superflex Leagues, we know he's going to be the 101, and I think he's going to be the 101 no matter where he goes because people have been waiting for him to come out for the draft for years now. Caleb Williams is locked in there. Very good quarterback prospect, one of the best we've seen come out. That being said, if you don't like the pick in your Superflex League, I think you can trade out of that one pretty easy. You got a lot of quarterbacks to pivot to with those other picks. You can go wide receiver. There's a lot to do with this year's draft. That being said, we're moving on to our next player. Next player, Drake May to the Washington Commanders here. The thing about the Washington Commanders here is they probably are more than just a quarterback away. They probably need a lot of pieces. They may be needing to trade back and really just build this team. But you also need a quarterback. You're also drafting a 2 here. Drake May, one of the top quarterbacks on the board here. And Drake May's got a gun on him. Looking at Dynasty Fantasy Football, Superflex, probably going to be around the 103 range. 102 if they're holding quarterbacks over a barrel in Superflex. And 1 QB, maybe latter part of the first round, second round. Really depends on the depth at quarterbacks on the waiver wire. It's going to be different from league to league in 1 QB. 1 QB leagues do not value quarterback the same, and it really depends on how your league values it. But you're going to be shooting your shot at the wide receivers and running backs over that. That being said, Drake May going to the Washington Commanders. This might be some time for him to build with this team. This team's going to need to add some pieces. The team's going to need to evolve a bit. That being said, you're drafting him still, if not pivoting out of the pick. Going to 103 here, Jaden Daniels. I like Jaden Daniels as a prospect. I sure do. Everybody's going to scratch their head with him going to New England, and I get it. But New England's got to retool. They got to get a quarterback. They got to build, and you got to start somewhere. Jaden Daniels transferred to LSU his first year. He was getting it done. He was looking good. He was transitioning pretty good there. And then this year, second year at LSU, he just put the stamp on things. Really balled out. Very good quarterback prospect here. He's got an arm on him, can throw it downfield. Going to the Patriots. Again, this might be a project for him and for the Patriots, and you might have to wait it out to get that production, but you're going to have to pay up to get it. Probably 104 range, 105 range. It really depends on Superflex here with him, Malik Neighbors, Marvin Harrison Jr., Jaden Daniels. How your league values that. Are they going to vault up the wide receivers? They're going to push down the quarterbacks. In Superflex, are they going to push up the quarterbacks? That being said, you're going to expect one of these quarterbacks to go to the Patriots. They're not drafting Marvin Harrison Jr. They're just not doing that. They're drafting one of these quarterbacks, him or Drake May, unless there's a move up, unless there's a trade. That being said, Jaden Daniels is a quarterback for the Patriots. Cardinals draft Marvin Harrison Jr., stud wide receiver prospect, generational talent. We got 2 of them in this class. You know who I think the second one is. Again, the Cardinals is probably going to take him. They're probably going to select him here at this pick. And Marvin Harrison Jr. does not come all the time. He's going to be added to this offense. I don't think he's going to move down the board in Dynasty. I think he's going to be solid there at the 102 spot in Superflex, 1 QB, 101 in rookie drafts. In startup drafts, he's going to be up there. He's going to be up there. People are already talking him up with Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. But do people have the balls to draft him there? Is that going to happen? We shall see if this happens at the NFL draft. We shall see. Moving on down, so this doesn't become forever. Malik Neighbors to the Chargers. Seeing Malik Neighbors to the Chargers, we've seen this mocked a million times. I think this is a great fit. Him, Marvin Harrison Jr., the generational talents in this class. You rarely get a draft class with two generational talents at the same position. That's going to create a lot of debates. I like Neighbors with the Chargers. I like him with Herbert. He's going to make Quentin Johnston sit down and watch. He's going to take over this offense, and it's going to be right away. Moving down here, Rome Odunze to the Giants. And the fact is there's a lot of offensive linemen on the board. Offensive lineman here is pretty plentiful. The wide receiver position's pretty plentiful as well. You got a lot of options here. If I'm the Giants, I might be looking at offensive line here. You got some offensive line help. You got help at other areas. Rome Odunze, though, getting downfield, getting it done, stacked with those slot receivers. They got like 20 of them. You got Jalen Hyatt, too, that can stretch the field. He's going to help the offense. Dynasty Fantasy Football-wise, are you liking this? Do you like it if he goes to the Giants? I think the Giants might go another route here. I do not think they'll go wide receiver. I just don't think it unless Neighbors or Harrison Jr. is there, and I don't think they're going to be there at 6. And if they are, it's going to be an anomaly. But I think they're going to go another route with the pick. I just don't see that happening. That being said, Titans go. Joe Alt, they get that offensive tackle. Falcons go. Cornerback. Bears go offensive tackle. Here, they usually go Rome Odunze in the mock drafts. But we're moving on to the next pick. Jets go offensive tackle. Minnesota Vikings go defensive end. And the Broncos go Bo Nix. He sucked it up at the Senior Bowl. He didn't look good. That's what all the accounts said. That's what the clips said. He did not look. I think Bo Nix is not going at 12. I don't think Bo Nix is going to the Broncos. I think this pick sucks by Matt Miller. I don't think this is going to happen. I think they saw Russell Wilson gone. They got to make a fill-in piece here. That being said, Bo Nix isn't happening. For Dynasty, going in this spot to the Broncos at 12, obviously he's getting bumped up the board. He is, probably would be a first rounder. It's just not happening in real life. It's just not going to happen. The Senior Bowl happened. Bo Nix sucked it up in the practices. Probably going to fall down the board a little bit. Probably not going 12 to the Broncos. Moving down to the Raiders here, selecting J.J. McCarthy. So really there's an indication here that one of these quarterbacks is going to jump up the board. One of these teams are going to make a play at quarterback. The Raiders could be making a play at quarterback. That could possibly happen. You got Nix. You got McCarthy. You got Penix. Penix is falling down the board. I think McCarthy is going to be a riser throughout the draft process. I think we might get a sneaky quarterback pick here somewhere in the middle of the draft. I think McCarthy, Nix, Penix, Rattler, one of those guys are going to surprise us. And one of those guys are going to surprise us with a huge fall. That being said, are the Raiders going to make a play here? Or are they going to just address another position? We shall see. In real life, this bumps McCarthy up in Superflex a little bit. This adds some value. Probably middle of the first round, latter part of the first round. More than Will Levis because he's getting more draft capital. A lot more draft capital. 13 overall is a lot higher than top of the second round. Think of it in those standards. But you also got a lot of competition at wide receiver. Let's move forward here. Brock Bowers goes 14 overall to the Saints. The Jimmy Graham era is over, and this guy is mocking the Fitz. There's no way in hell he's going to fall to 14. This pick is not going to happen. This mock draft so far, it sucks. It sucks because there's no way Brock Bowers is falling out of the top 10. Think of all the tight ends in the NFL. How many of them would you have over Brock Bowers right now? You're telling me there's 13 teams here that's not going to address that position with Brock Bowers. You're telling me he's going to fall 14 overall to the Saints. This is stupid. This is a stupid mock draft. That being said, if he goes to the Saints, it's going to be wheels up. They like to get vertical. They like to push it downfield. Brock Bowers is going to hold ADP. Top 5, top 6 pick, like we're seeing in these super flex drafts when we're going over those mock drafts as well. Let's move on. This draft's getting ridiculous here. Colts go defensive end. Next pick, Seattle goes defensive tackle. Jaguars, cornerback. Bengals go Brian Thomas Jr. of LSU. I like him. I haven't ranked him yet with the wide receivers, but I do like him. He's a downfield threat. T. Higgins, if he's gone, more than likely gone, going to fill that role as the downfield stretcher next to Jamar Chase. Look for him to get a boost in dynasty value here, connected with Joe Burrow. A good landing spot, good draft capital. He's going to get drafted in the middle of the first round in Superflex. He's going to hold that value. People are going to draft up some Brian Thomas. That's what's just going to happen. That's what the market's going to say, and I like the pick. Rams go tackle. Steelers go tackle. This draft is deep at the offensive line spot. Tackle, guard, and that's going to create some situations for some of these teams. Dolphins go defensive tackle. Eagles go cornerback. Mitchell went off at the Senior Bowl. He was breaking down dudes. I like Mitchell a lot. I just want to put that out there. His stock is rising. That being said, if you notice his stock is rising, you should have noticed Bo Nix's stock was dropping. Just think about that. This is a weird mock draft. Kool-Aid goes to the Texans. I get it, they got Nico Collins and Tank Dell. But where we're at here at the draft and where the wide receivers are looking like, what if they selected another wide receiver here? What if? I'm just getting my wheels turning. Moving on down. Cowboys are not drafting Keon Coleman. That is not happening. They're probably going to draft a random tackle. Maybe they draft a center from West Virginia and just get their guy like they usually do in the back half of the first round, and everybody's going to boo the pick, and then they coach up that offensive lineman, and they're an okay starter for 5 years. That's probably what's going to happen here. But they got him selecting Keon Coleman. Let's think about this. Let's think about the Cowboys here. Keon Coleman's going to be a first-round pick in Superflex rookie drafts. Even though the pick's not going to happen, this isn't realistic. I think the Cowboys, if they do go wide receiver, they're going to want speed on the outside. They got CeeDee Lamb. Keon Coleman will get deep ball attempts. He'll be getting opportunities. I think him and Dak Prescott could be a solid fit together. But Keon Coleman, first rounder, probably middle of the back half with this draft capital. I just don't see it likely to happen. Moving on to the Packers, cornerback, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, guard. You got guards on the board. They're going offensive tackle. They're going guard. They're going center. As in the Cardinals, they're going offensive tackle here in this mock draft. Bills go center. Detroit Lions go defensive end. Ravens go defensive end. Niners go offensive tackle. And then the Chiefs get a wide receiver. And we know they need another wide receiver. They need to address the position. They might do that through free agency. They might say, screw the draft. Let's get some veteran experience. However, veterans and rookies, I'm looking at you, Sky Moore, and I'm looking at you, Juju Smith-Schuster. They both bit you. So they could be drafting a wide receiver here. I like Xavier Worthy. We got a good breakout age. One of the few wide receivers in this draft with an age 18 breakout age. He's got speed to burn. You can throw it to him deep. Even though you don't throw it deep because your wide receivers are getting like a 9-8 you need to stretch the field more if you're going to get a wide receiver like this. But he's got you the speed to get you the yards after the catch with how your offense works. Could be a great fit. Xavier Worthy's going to get Chiefs privilege here in Dynasty rookie drafts. He's going to get punched up the board here. He's going to be a first rounder. Moving on, Carolina goes with Ladd McConkey. This is a big draft pick. And Ladd McConkey's going to go in the second round somewhere. More than likely, he breaks off routes, creates separation. Him and Bryce Young, that could be an all right mix this team's building. Ladd McConkey, second rounder in rookie drafts, maybe even pushing to the third round. We'll see how the rest of the draft stacks up. But going to the Panthers, I don't think many people are going to be excited about this offense until they start getting it built a little bit more. Ladd McConkey might be a player here that you buy later at a cheaper cost. Moving down to the next pick here. New England goes tackle. Cardinals go cornerback. Commanders go defensive end. Chargers go linebacker. Titans go wide receiver with A.D. Mitchell. This is a decent pick here. This is a good value. A.D. Mitchell going at the top of the second round. What I like about him is he can stretch it deep. Will Levis likes to throw it deep. This is a good match here, and I see him being an underrated player or a cheaper asset here in Dynasty that you can shoot your shot on. He's got decent draft capital. He's going to get you a good ADOT because that's where he projects to play at. He had a good ADOT at Texas. He's got a quarterback that likes to throw it deep, and he does his best work when he's throwing it deep. I think this would be a good spot for A.D. Mitchell. I think this is going to be an underrated landing spot. You'll probably catch him in the second round of rookie drafts. I think you're going to have some upside here. Moving down here, Graham Barton guard to the Giants. Moving on down here, Commanders go defensive end. Packers go cornerback. Vikings go Michael Penix. Michael Penix has a love-hate relationship with the fantasy community, but you're getting Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson. If you can't hit with the Vikings, you're never going to hit. Might take him some time to develop. I think things got to be perfect for him. I think the offensive line has to get right. The offensive line has to play perfect for Penix. I'm not talking about the Vikings offensive line. I'm talking about Penix. Because if he's forced to work under pressure, that's where he gets rattled a little bit. However, if things are going good, things are working smoothly, he develops a little bit, this could be a good get for the Vikings. Dynasty Fantasy Football, I think you're going to see him valued in Will Levis territory there. I think you're going to catch him back half of the first, early second, and he's going to be played around in ADP all summer long until we figure it out. Moving on down here, Atlanta Falcons go with Tez Walker. If you think about it, they got Drake London. We got Kyle Pitts. Tez Walker can stretch the field. Had a lot of drops at the Senior Bowl, but I'm not going to drop somebody due to drops. I feel like his skill set fits here. I feel like for fantasy football, though, it's going to be hard to rank him high. You're probably going to catch him in the third round of rookie drafts, maybe latter part of the second at the highest. He's going to be a cheap get. I think the fantasy community has soured on him due to the reports from the Senior Bowl. I feel like there is upside here. I feel like he would be a splash play candidate in this role, especially once this team develops and he gets developed as well. Moving forward, Troy Franklin to the Raiders. I feel like this is low for Franklin, and I feel like Franklin would be best served in a different spot. I feel like Franklin's not going to fall to 44. I just don't see it. I just don't see some of the other wide receivers getting selected ahead of him. It could happen. I could be wrong. I could be biased. Also could see an offensive line run in the first round, causing some of these wide receivers to fall a little later, considering how deep the wide receiver class is. That could be a scenario. Or it could be the opposite way around. We get a run on wide receivers and some of the linemen fall. We're deep here at some positions. Troy Franklin going to the Raiders in the second round. The fantasy community likes him. Value-wise, back half of the first round. I don't love this spot. I don't love rookie wide receivers and rookie quarterbacks connecting, but that bit me in the face last year. CJ Stroud, Tank Dell. I'm still drafting Troy Franklin, especially at cost. Maybe a little bit higher at cost because I still want the talent. I feel like his ADOT is going to serve him well. He had a good ADOT there at Oregon, getting those deep ball attempts. I'm still rolling Troy Franklin here, but I feel like he's best optimized somewhere else, and I don't see him falling to 44. Xavier Legette, not the greatest Senior Bowl, but it got it right in the third practice, I believe. Very aggressive, good size and just athleticism. The Saints like to push the ball downfield. In this scenario, he's also competing against Brock Bowers. You're also competing against Chris Olave. How's he going to be a wide receiver 2 in fantasy competing against those guys for targets? I'm thinking it's going to be hard for that to happen. I look for him to be a splash play candidate, a guy that could hit randomly for you, possibly best ball in this scenario. He could be a huge drop, but I also see him doing well at the NFL Combine. He's going to get a lot of buzz at the Combine. That's what I'm thinking, and his stock's going to rise back up again. Malachi Corley from Western Kentucky, thick wide receiver. You can put in the slot, you can put on the outside. He's going to give you a good dynamic here Remember, we got Josh Downs. Pittman's going to be there. He's going to resign. They're not going to let Pittman go. He's mentioned that playing in the Deebo Samuel role. Corley said that as well. He's a jacked up wide receiver. This is a good fit for NFL terms. Very sus for fantasy because Downs is going to soak up targets. You also got AR-15 at quarterback there. You got the transition period there. I look for him to be a cheap buy later. You don't have to draft him now. Moving down to 47. Giants draft defensive tackle. Jaguars go Roman Wilson. And I mentioned in my Roman Wilson video earlier that if he goes in the top 60, my ears are going to perk up because the odds are going to lean more into his favor. Situation's going to matter for him. I think this is going to be a good situation. You're going to put him in the slot. You can put him outside. He creates separation on a dime. Great route running. 4.3 speed. I think this is what the Jaguars need. I think this is going to be a good fit. You got a good quarterback there with Trevor Lawrence. This is going to perk him up. He's going to be around a second-round pick in rookie drafts. Might flirt with the first round. Might, if you got a Trevor Lawrence lover in your league. Second rounders where the value is going to be at. I think he's going to be a good value, though. I think it would be a good value with the Jaguars here in rookie drafts. I'd be drafting him up in certain spots, but it really depends on what the running back position is looking like. Moving on down here to the next guy, JT Sanders to the Bengals. And this is a good spot. I just feel like there's not going to be enough opportunity for upside early in his career. I think people are going to rock him up the board a little bit to the early part of the second round due to him going to the Bengals. Top 50 pick. I feel like you could buy him later at a much cheaper cost. So I'm going to fade him in favor of the wide receivers and running backs. That's what I'm going to do at this spot. And I feel like the cost is going to be up there. But I'd be interested. But I'm going to be watching from afar. And I'm going to watch the price dip a little bit. Then I'll buy in. I'll buy via trade, not by draft pick. That's what I'm going to do here. But I love the spot here. But this guy's mocking the fit, not to how the draft would go. Going here, and the Eagles go safety. Steelers go center. Rams go defensive end. Eagles go linebacker. Browns go defensive tackle. Dolphins go guard. We got a little bit of an offensive line run. Cowboys go guard. Bucks go safety. Packers go running back with Jonathan Brooks, the first running back off the board. We got the running backs on the team, the incumbents. They're probably going to be gone eventually. Brooks is going to be stepping in there. He's going to be the RB1 in this draft due to draft capital alone, opportunity alone. We also got the ACL to think about. That's not a death knell anymore. Brooks going to the Packers is probably going to jump him up. I think a lot of people are going to be spending a first-round pick on him. Latter part of the first round, per se, considering where these wide receivers went, considering a lot of people are soured on the running back class. We don't know where the other running backs are going. Jonathan Brooks is going to get draft capital in rookie drafts. Moving on down, defensive tackle for the Texans. Bills go Jalen Polk. I think this is a great fit for Josh Allen. Allen likes to push the deep ball. Polk likes to get downfield, stretch it, and get that A-dots. I think this is a great fit. I think they're going to need to address the wide receiver position. Stephon Diggs isn't getting much younger. Gabe Davis isn't that guy. Probably going to leave in free agency. Polk's going to be a good fit for the Bills. I think there's a good price tag for him at 60 overall. I think Polk to the Bills. I think you can catch him at a good value, too, in rookie drafts. I like this landing spot. I think there's going to be a lot of good upside here. Moving down here. Cornerback to the Lions, safety to the Ravens, defensive end to the 49ers, defensive tackle to the Chiefs, and that's it. That's your 2-round mock draft here by Matt Miller. My thoughts on the mock draft is this. I think this mock draft sucks. I think he drafted landing spot. I think he drafted to get clicks. I think he drafted so you can get lucrative players going to lucrative spots so people can talk about it like me. It's not a good mock draft. I don't think it's very realistic. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button on the way out. I want to thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.